second stage of forging the Falchion blade, I cut off the holding stick because it's a bit too messy and it gets in the way all the time. I use the bandsaw at the moment because I don't want to mess up my forge with a holding stick. Now I'm going to forge out the tang and start truing up the blade, which preps it for hand beveling.
Whether by hand or on the powerhammer, the hit turn technique is always the best choice for tapering out stock when trying to keep it even or symmetrical. In this case, Ilya is using it to draw out the tang.
Once the powerhammer work is complete and the preform is up to spec, it's time for hand beveling. There are a couple of tricky moments that make hand beveling work, so I have to be fairly careful. However, this is a very wide blade, so the cost of a mistake is actually not as dire as on a thinner
Starting from the point end, Ilya starts driving the material at an angle to create the bevel. A light tap on the anvil before forging can fix a slight curvature. first half of the blade done, we now turn the blade over and hold it by the point in order to start forging the bevels on the second half of the blade. This being a single-edged sword but a straight one, the smith has to have precise blows to make sure the blade doesn't curve too much during the bevel forging.
Now that the rough forging of the bevels is complete, I'm going to begin doing the profile grinding. And the main reason we do that now is when Ilya starts doing the heat cycling, he wants to make sure the edge is perfectly aligned, and having all these little hand-forged bumps out of the blade itself will really help him in that process.
After all the forging on the blade is complete, the next stage is normalizing or heat cycling. The way to do it is you first heat up the blade to its critical temperature and quench it. And after that, you heat it up back to its critical temperature and let it cool off slowly. The reason for that being, steel, when you forge it and manipulate it, behaves very much like a computer. So all the extra stress is random information distributed throughout your blade. And the way to fix that is you fill the entire computer up with information, you convert all the zeros to ones, and then you convert all those ones uniformly to zero. And now my piece is basically annealed. So when you overheat a piece, forge it a little bit, some areas have extra stress, some have no stress, some pieces get converted to bayonet or martensite, some don't, and it's completely random. So if you don't heat cycle your blade and heat treat it, that randomness is preserved. All you do is you reverse its positioning. However, if you heat cycle your piece properly, your heat treating will be spot on every time.
During normalizing heats, the smith can take advantage of the slow cool to fix any warping. The final normalizing cycle should always be heating up to around 1500 Fahrenheit and letting it cool slowly. If you look closely, you will notice that as the blade cools towards the end, it actually heats back up for a brief second.
With the blade now prepped and ready for grinding, it's time to move on to the guard.
After carefully measuring the center of the stock, Ilya marks the center and extents of the central block that will be created during the first steps of forging. After using the top tool to create the quillion block, we move on to drawing out the tines of the guard under the flat dies. It is now time to punch and drift the slot in the guard. We first start off with a sharp chisel to make the initial cut, then move on to a blunt chisel to punch and drift the slot to the correct dimension. Before creating the decorative ends on our guard, we first need to trim a bit of material from both ends using the hot cut hardy tool. To create the fleur-de-lis terminations, we first have to make chisel cuts to separate the material into 3 sections. Ilya quickly realizes that this is a process for 2 smiths, so Matt steps in to assist.
Now we're gonna make the side rings using a nice architectural forging die that I made. This is a piece of 1045. There's a female indentation. The master I made by grinding a piece of square stock and then plowing it in to the red hot 1045. After that I heat treated this, and now it's here forever.
Just like that, we have the base of our two side rings forged to shape. That does it for the forging processes for the falchion blade and hilt. Next time we will pick up with grinding all the parts and heat treating the blade. Don't forget to like the video, and as always we ask you to consider subscribing to That Works.